Hey everybody, Scott Luton with Supply Chain Now. I'm joined by Jake Barr, the John Wayne of Global Supply Chain. Jake, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully. Thanks for having me.
You. Great to have you back. Really enjoyed our collaboration for months now. I've got some questions here with the backdrop of the Gartner Supply Chain Symposium and Expo 2024. There's excitement. There's wonderful discussions. The typical topics are being addressed, AI, of course, and then plenty of other real conversations that don't get enough airtime, in my view at least. But I've got some questions I want to pose to you. I want to start with something that you get asked about all the time, and we have spoken about on a variety of shows, and that is this price that organizations and leaders pay when they don't effectively address either complexity in their organization or they're late to the party when it comes to digitizing work and the enterprise. Your thoughts, what is this price paid you're talking about?
The price is both tangible business results, right? So you have to think about it from an operational standpoint. I work with a host of companies, and the reality is no one's giving them a break on finding the next margin point or how to stretch another 0.5% to 2% of growth, right? So delaying the work right now, unfortunately, has a compounding, it's almost like a banker effect, right? So we've got a number of folks who actually are delaying efforts and paying the price in a real monetary sense. But I got to tell you, Scott, the more important one that they need to be factoring in right now is also a human capital effect.
Right.
And the human capital effect is, look, in most markets around the world, there simply aren't enough supply chain professionals to help man the roles that are available.
Right.
And to address the complexity of the work environment, right? So the pace of business has gotten faster after the pandemic. It's not slowed down.
Right.
The pace of the complexity, the issues, the supplier shortcomings, the operational shortfalls, the customer demand change requests, all that. And this extends beyond a single vertical. It's every single vertical. What I'm seeing is a bunch of people just having issues with retention.
Right.
Okay? And it's not, can I get my checkbook out and pay, or at the McDonald's $20 an hour, let's keep them on the,
right.
No. It's called folks are opting out.
Right.
And you just simply cannot fill and backflush the talent and the understanding of the business they're doing fast enough. So there's a huge, I'm going to tell you, yes, the executives, they pay a price operationally.
Right.
But it's getting a compounding effect on the human side right now, which is becoming devastating for some. I've got some firms that literally are now urgently calling to try and pull up work that they had delayed in 23 because they thought they had time, and they've been surprised by staffing shortages where they can't fill the jobs.
Right. Yeah. One of the things you implied there is the burnout. The toll on our people. I was reading not too long ago, last week I think it was, how in this tidal wave of AI here and AI there, AI engineers are feeling the pain because all the demand.
There's a shortage.
There's a shortage.
There's a shortage. Wait, we're at the precipice of a new technology.
Right.
And there's a shortage to even fill that gap. Right.
Man. So that's quite a price to be paid. So thank you for sharing that. Jake, let's talk about this, because all of this begs the question, right? And I know you're going to keep it real here, as you always do. You got quite a reputation for that. What's a couple of ways that the game's got to change, right? The global supply chain management as an industry, how we got to change the way business is done. What is that?
Let's be blunt. If I'm the CEO of a company and I've got my chief supply chain officer, I need to be just very transparent with him or her to the point of, you have two jobs. The first job, everyone today falls behind and tries to focus on, which is, I need you, Scott, to run the day-to-day business.
Okay.
What they need to actually up the game on is, Scott, I'm paying you to blow up the way we go and do business and to reinvent it. So most chief supply chain officers, he or she that's currently filling the role, I can tell you we've got more than a growing handful across the verticals who now are being charged with, I don't want you to be a caretaker.
Right.
I need you to be a transformative leader, because if we're going to stay relevant, I actually need you to blow up what we're doing and give me something better. So yeah, I need you to caretake. I need you to make sure we ship the cases. I need you to make sure we run the factory. But I need you to be replacing, laying the groundwork to replace the way we're doing all this.
Yeah. Not set it and forget it. No cruise control.
There is no.
But I did like how the nuance there. Let's keep shipping stuff. Let's keep the business going. But while we do that, we got to transform how we work and how the business runs.
And that's how I think about what work we're going to do or not do.
Right.
Where we're going to do it. Who we might use as suppliers. What talent I need. How I may structure the organization. It's all of those things.
There are few permanent decisions we can make in global supply chain, right?
We call global supply chain gainful lifetime employment on purpose. It's because it's constantly evolving. It isn't static. Every single day, no matter what business you're working in, you come in the morning and the facts of the market, the competitors, the supplier base, your operation, your people, it's all changed. And if you're not understanding that, you can't keep it relevant.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, I really wish we had a couple hours here. A lot of good stuff here. I got a question for you. With the theme this week is rethink supply chain, right, here at Gartner. And there's lots of very obvious answers to that. We've been rethinking supply chain for a long time, right? The pandemic brought some unique realizations where we had fooled ourselves for a while. But here in 2024,
yes,
right, when you hear that phrase, rethink supply chain, what is one element to rethinking global supply chain that you don't think gets enough attention?
The willingness to experiment and fail. So when you think about the dynamics of how your business and the supply chain work, you have to understand that you need to have a set of constant learning experiments underway. And I would tell you it's by process area. It could be how you run the factory. It could be how you run purchasing and procurement. It could be how you're doing planning in the organization. It could be how you're managing the commercial interaction with your key trade partners, right? But the reality is, each one of those areas, you need to be doing live change experiments, because supply chain and the dynamic nature of it, it's change management at its core. If you really want to lean in right now, I would say take baby steps. And what do I mean by baby steps? Look, you walk out there in the Gartner event, you can't walk past a room or a hallway where somebody isn't talking AI.
Right.
You know what?
That's right.
Let me help you demystify AI. Are we going to use generative AI to make major decisions across most operations in the next 5 years? Absolutely. You know what? Most people aren't ready to be able to take advantage of that because they're not organized the right way. They don't have their people trained the right way. They don't have their processes set up. So you know what? I can experiment at the seams. So think about a warehousing or distribution and how I'm dealing with transportation and all that. Where those processes come together is a perfect spot to use AI for optimizing how you run the crews every day and the sequence of the buildings. Small little experiments, I call them crawl, walk, run steps.
Okay.
Where you can get your feet dirty, learn about it, get people with their hands on it, get used to it, and then you scale it from there. It doesn't have to be a big monolithic change, which unfortunately is why most folks sit back. They don't know where to start.
Right.
They're too scared to start, right?
And that crawl, walk, run, I think you coined it there, those baby steps, breaking down a challenge or a change imperative into bites of the proverbial elephant.
My mother took me on a trip to the desert once when I was a child.
All right.
She walked me up against a boulder, and she said, "Push it." She did. Okay. Didn't move, right? And I stepped back, right, after I'd grunted at it, and I was, 8, 9, whatever. And she looked at me and she said, "Life is going to be full of problems that are massive. You got to break them down into smaller ones and work from there."
I love it. And what was your mom's name?
Ida.
Ida. Man, Ida. Wisdom, and I bet that's just one example of the wisdom
It was.
she brought to the table.
You don't want to know how she taught me to swim. Threw me out of a boat.
Hey, keeping it real runs the family. All right, so last question, and of course we'll make sure folks know how to connect with you, Jake. If you had a captive audience, right, of the world supply chain leadership, and you had an opportunity to challenge them with one piece of advice, right, throwing the gauntlet down, what would your challenge be, Jake?
You must run into change, not flee it, not run away from it. You must lead it, because when you lean into change, you actually control the pace and the dynamics. If you lean back from it, other people control your destiny. Which would you prefer?
Oh, that's the obvious one. I want to, give me my own destiny to determine.
Because when I lean in, I can be wrong and still course correct before people catch up.
Yeah.
When I lean back, I'm behind. And I know what, in a horse race analogy, what the last position smells like.
Oh, Jake, kidding aside though, that as you started to share that, it reminded me of this wonderful commercial. I think it was for the Marines they did a couple of years ago. And the long and short of it was, a lot of folks run away from
The fire.
the fire and then the challenge, gunfire, whatever it is. And they're all, in this shot, this commercial, they're all running into
it.
Yeah, so that is
To take
powerful,
control of it.
Yeah, powerful commercial and powerful analogy, I think, for global supply chain. Because the people that work for these organizations, they want to see their leaders
They do.
put change in the
If the
headline.
leader embraces change, what do you think my behavior is going to be?
Right, that's right. Well said. All right, so Jake, how can folks connect with all the cool things you're doing at Blue World Supply Chain Consulting?
Obviously through LinkedIn. That's the best way, and quite frankly, it's the only way I can keep in control of my calendar. Otherwise, my phone always has too many messages, etc. Right?
Or some of your co-hosting you're doing now at Supply Chain Now. That's right,
Absolutely.
the one and only Jake Barr. So Jake, thanks for your time as always.
Absolutely.
Folks, stay tuned. First off, make sure you connect with Jake, right? And stay tuned for a lot more key takeaways and insight you just got to lean into, like this here from Jake, as we continue to cover the Gartner Supply Chain Symposium 2024.